Hello and a merry wintermas to you all. Welcome back to Making Computers. Sorry I've been absent for a bit, but I've been working really hard on an article for Custom PC magazine, a massive 7-case group test on mid-tower airflow cases that you'll be able to read in their next edition, issue 222. I will eventually get individual reviews for each of those cases upon the channel. I just need to wait for a short amount of time before I can do so. But there were a couple of cases that turned up late, so shortly I'll be reviewing the Meshify 2 Compact and also the Cooler Master TD500 Mesh. I've also still got the Corsair LCD screen and Elite 360 LCD to review, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of that content. The end of the year is normally a fantastic time for mods, with plenty of action going on in numerous competitions, especially the Cooler Master World Series. However, that's not going on this year, but we do have a couple of other competitions. There is the Intel PC Mod Level Up challenge that's only just kicked off. There is also the Zotac Magnus 1 challenge that is just about to finish. With voting closing on Wednesday the 22nd of December, I'm not sure if I'll get this out in time, but we'll have a quick look through all 15 of those mods now because they are really fantastic. This Magnus 1 challenge is to celebrate 15 years of Zotac, with 15 case modders battling it out for a total prize pool of $15,000 US. The modders were given just 30 days to complete their mods, with, as I said before, one stipulation that the Magnus 1 must remain recognisable. That prize money is split across 3 different awards. There is one for the best theme design, one for the best RGB integration, and then a first, second and third place for best overall design. If I get this video out in time, you'll be able to vote for your favourite mod, and you can vote for a separate one in each of those 3 categories. And I'll link the voting page in the description below. First up we have Valhalla E4 by Kaliva Custom Design. Their mod is based on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, with both sides and the front getting illuminated murals. With the side ones in particular, they've made their own circular LED rings from individually soldered RGB LEDs. They've made a pair of axes to adorn the top of the case and a shield that sits on the side, with the exterior and armaments painted to look like they're made from wood, metal and leather. It's not just the outside that's been modded either. Inside has been painted and then weathered effects applied to make it look like middle-aged metal. The paintwork is phenomenal and it really does look like the materials that they've painted it to be. Little Alien is by Ali Abbas, also known as the Creator. A little backstory for his mod: unfortunately his workshop had a fire and was burned down along with the vast majority of his tools. So he actually completed this mod just at home and with what tools he had lying around. This aliens inspired Xenomorph mod still stands up to his extremely high standards though, with sublime detailing to absolutely everything. The top features a Xenomorph's head, and he's made silhouettes of them as the fan grills for both sides. It has a very true to form phallus-obsessed Geiger-esque stasis pod on the front of the Magnus 1, with the skulls of many a Xenomorph and human dotted around the case, all backlit in a nice green hue, all very Ridley Scott. And he's also modded a small pair of speakers and a mouse. I wouldn't leave this on in the bedroom overnight, not unless you wanted a good scare if you woke during the night. HNO Z-Bot, or possibly Nitrile Z-Bot by Havoc Nation, is a miniature combat robot inspired by various games, movies and anime. I think it looks a little bit like a baby Ed 209. Also named Barbaric, the Magnus 1 sits on a platform supported by 2 thick mech legs, with each leg sporting a Gatling gun for good measure. It then uses the central illuminated power button of the Magnus 1 as the eye of the robot, with a few yellow embellishments and logos to liven it up a bit. You best comply when it tells you to install an update. Nuclear PC by Center Gaming is said to be a theme inspired by the Zotac brand, which should be apparent by the large 3D printed Zotac logo placed on the front of the case. The sides have clear acrylic with a PCB trace kind of design etched into them, and attached to it is a small nuclear power station simulating the generation of energy to power the PC. With the current generation of graphics card pushing as many watts as they do, you probably need a nuclear power station as well. Toxic Skull by Chuga has quite the backstory. Inspired by post-apocalyptic climates, it's said that an experiment gone wrong causes an explosion, but that thought and power still reside within this toxic waste-filled skull. A description that oddly reminds me of the first episode of Cyber City Oedo 808, and yet the leathery skull on the front of the case is very reminiscent of the Necronomicon. The green illuminated toxic waste reservoir mounted to the top and the UV green acrylic side panels combined with that harrowing skull on front really do put the frighteners into you. It's one mod I certainly wouldn't want to get too close to. Ocean by Timeplay surfs up a tropical sea themed build with neon custom sleeve cables and some 3D printed coral pieces sat within, and the external shell of the Magnus one having been removed and replaced with layers of clear acrylic with different stages of a wave formation in them. These are then individually lit up to mimic a wave crashing over. The front panel has mirrored acrylic with its own smaller wave formation, with the silhouette of a surfer riding that wave and the power button centered on their surfboard. You're sure to have a whale of a time on this gaming rig. White Oak by BT Custom PC has taken a more minimalist approach. The bulk of the chassis has been painted in white with a polished aluminium frame around the front panel with some wooden accents to create an elegant gaming PC that they say would fit perfectly into the living room. To that they've added some ventilated acrylic panels so you can see the hardware inside, and a small custom loop on the CPU. It's certainly a very sleek and stylish understated mod. Monstro and Gabby have gone back to the Dark Ages to find inspiration for their mod Carolus Magnus, founder of the Carolingian Empire, also known as Charlemagne or Charles the Great. This former king and emperor of the 8th century adorns the front of the Magnus One in a magnificent stained glass window. Bearing a sword and globus cruciger, represents the power within the Magnus One. It looks so authentic I feel like I should light a candle and say a prayer. The Mammoth one from Toro Tocho is quite a curious affair. It's a mammoth mod, quite literally a mod of a mammoth. The head is 3D printed and the body, although it looks just like a flannel draped over the case, is actually constructed from cement and a base metal. I'm not entirely sure how it's been done, but I suspect that base metal is iron and there's a magnet or two involved. Not to miss out on the lighting, the tail has an RGB strip, although I don't think this is perhaps the best implementation for it. Maybe an icy blue glow below it might have been better. Now you'll have to forgive my bias as I talk about IcarusOne by my good friend Alessandro of Explore Modding. Inspired by American 1950s design, in particular the cars and retro sci-fi, IcarusOne has replaced pretty much all the panels of the Magnus One to implement that design ethos while still looking very much like a Magnus One. Add to this a custom water cooling loop that hooks up to an external radiator with that same design and then mounted on a plinth that looks like it's been plucked from the Jetsons. The LED glow around the front and underneath give it the impression of energy and motion and looks like it could be some sort of transport from the original Star Trek series. Simply put, it's stunning. Vintage 15 by a name I'm not going to try and say in English is another one that takes its cues from furniture, this time with a more 70s chic and based on an old radio, featuring a mostly cream and brown exterior with the front faceplate left in black, It does look rather like a radio my granddad had. To further accentuate that old radio feel, the LEDs inside flicker with a warm glow, as though they're valves plucking the vocals from the airwaves. MP Customize has taken a modern look at a classic Space Odyssey theme of HAL 2000, with a carbon fibre clad exterior and an LCD screen up front with that HAL 2000 eye. The water-cooled CPU block has a 3D printed top cover made to look like a refrigerant condenser, cooling the heart of the cold-hearted machine. He's also moved the power button on top of the CPU block to form the O in a Zotac emblem. Just don't approach this mod if you happen to be called Dave. Warhawk by the Dutchman Modifies takes its inspiration from the classic Warbird prop plane as from the kits he used to build with his dad when he was younger. Certainly if you'd asked a 10-year-old Andy what his perfect PC would look like, it would definitely look like this. With a 3D printed propeller adorning the front, a roof mounted air scoop, side exhaust trumpets, and a snarled tooth smile wrapped around the front and sides. If you've ever played with Airfix kits or had die-cast prop planes as a child, this mod will no doubt stir something within. Mod 83 proves he ain't afraid of no mod with his Ghostbusters inspired Magnus 1 Spengler edition. Half proton pack, half ghost trap, whether your name's Gozer or Vigor, this certainly will put the frighteners up you. With its alpha cool powered particle accelerator with fans in the front and roof and LEDs placed underneath, giving it the blue glow of the ghost trap. It then has red LED indicators on the side warning you of any potential overload and escape. Just remember not to twitch and cross the streams. Project AI-117 by Phenom Design is their vision of a possible robotic AI for Master Chief in Halo. With the exterior painted in a battle-hardened green and the side ventilation in a reflective gold finish mimicking the Master Chief himself, that green paintwork is extended to the GPU shroud and roof ventilation cover with a Master Chief helmet design on top of the CPU pump block. It's a design worthy of any company's Halo product. Some truly amazing mods there. That's actually going to have to be it for this video. I've caught the virus that shall not be named, that's why Dremel was wearing a face mask in the intro. I was going to do a roundup of my favourite mods from the last few months from the forums and elsewhere, but it has crept up on me quicker than I thought it would, and I'm about to lose my voice. So, for now, that's it. There will be a link down below to cast your votes for the Magnus 1 challenge, and you can win some goodies for doing so, but it does close at midnight tonight, Wednesday the 22nd of December. So share this about, get everybody you know to go and check out the mods and vote for their favourite, because the modders have done a great effort here to get these turned around in just 30 days. Now back to Andy in the studio.
I'll be back soon with a review of the Corsair H150i Elite LCD cooler and the LCD upgrade kit. Until then, take care folks, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and remember, keep building, keep modding, keep making computers. See you then.